Welcome back to Night Fever. My name's Jenkins, your host. Night Fever is an Auckland FC fan podcast where I delve into the games before and after to try and unravel what's happened and any news that happens in the Auckland FC camp. Today's episode is a match review of last weekend's defeat away at HBF Park against Perth Glory over in Western Australia. A big trip for the boys across the continent with a 5-hour time difference as well. Local time it was 6:45 kickoff, but for the Auckland players on their body clocks, it was 1:45. So you could possibly see some tired minds going into the latter part of this match. It was a Saturday night over in Perth, a tough assignment, as I said, with the travel across to WA. We were sitting top of the table going into this one, but Perth Glory much further down the field, however, having a much better season than they did last time round. Already amassed more points than what they got last season, and we're only just past the halfway line. So the boys were focused on bouncing back from that draw last weekend, that disappointing draw last weekend to Central Coast Mariners. Perth's coach, Adam Griffiths, now he's a character. He spoke pre-match about being clinical in key areas to unlock Auckland FC's structure. The training intensity inside the Auckland FC camp was reportedly high. Corica trying to inject edge into the attack and tighten defensive transitions due to injuries through the season. Squad rotation was also a talking point, something we will get into shortly. Okay, so let's take a look at the lineups. Perth Glory, roughly a 4-4-2 formation. We saw Sutton in goal, Wootung, Kaltak, Shamoon. I like that name, Shamoon. In midfield, Bosniovski, Feeney, Pennington, Lawrence, and Taggart made up the starting players for Perth. On this bench, we saw Jaden Kaczarski, a dangerous player that we learnt about later on in the match. Auckland FC, we went with a 4-2-3-1 formation. We saw Ollie Sale enter the starting lineup. Michael Vow had been underperforming, let's say, and finally Steve Corica went with Ollie Sale in between the sticks. His first start for Auckland in the A-League, and it was against his former club as well, so perhaps written in the stars. Hiroki Sakai, good to see him back after his injury. He was back in the starting lineup. That leadership that we miss so much when he's not there. Dan Hall, Pinecker, they were the partnership in central defence, continuing to build their cohesion from what we saw so much of last season. Left back, well, who else? Francis de Vries, it goes without saying, really. Always on the team sheet and putting in some solid performances. So the scene at HBF Park in Perth, always quite a vibrant ground. The official attendance for the night was 7,528. A decent crowd for a Saturday night. The atmosphere seemed electric in parts. The away end, there was some representation from the Auckland FC fans. Chants could be heard. Auckland fans travelling across, well, I'm guessing most of them already live over there, and they're perhaps originally from Auckland, so they were representing us all the way over there. The Perth supporters were loud, back in their side. I think they call the fan end of their ground the shed. So I like that, the shed. So yeah, they were colourful, noisy. getting into it, which was good. Let's go into the first half summary now. So early on, both sides tested each other, but it was Auckland who struck first. A 42nd minute Jesse Randall goal produced brilliantly from an individual effort. He took on a defender into the 18-yard box and from an angle slotted it greatly into the net. He showed sharp movement and composure to give Auckland the lead going into half-time. Jesse Randall, of course, had been in the news leading up to this match. Dundee United of the Scottish Premiership have an agreement in place after the season, so from June onwards for him to go over there and play for Dundee United. Jesse Randall out of contract come the end of this season. A young player that we will miss. He's still got a lot of development to do, so hopefully from a personal aspect for him, he can get that development and go to the next level for himself and be in the shop window, if you like, to perhaps get a move to the next step up from the Scottish Premiership, maybe a Championship team or a lower end Premier League team. So Auckland looked confident. They were about 53% in possession, passing with decent rhythm and attempting to break through Perth's low block. Perth, they struggled to create clear chances in the first half and largely looked content to stay compact and absorb the pressure. In the first half, the standout was Jesse Randall, that quality finish, and Auckland's midfield shield, disciplined and patient. Auckland did give up some space on the right that almost led to a set-piece chance for Perth, but the clearest moments in the first 45 belonged to Auckland's attack. So we saw Ollie Sale have a decent first half for Auckland. It was looking good. He looked solid. He looked to inject confidence in the defenders who played with a little bit more freedom, knowing that they had Ollie Sale in between the sticks. Into the second half, adjustments came. Perth brought on Jaden Kucharski off the bench around about the 59th minute, and this was the turning point of the evening. At first, not much change, but Kucharski made the breakthrough in the 75th minute, controlling a long ball with his thigh, then chipping the keeper, a superb finish to make it 1-1. Momentum clearly swung. Perth continued to press higher, and Auckland looked increasingly stretched in transition, conceding a dangerous free kick in situations. In the 90th minute, Kucharski unleashed a long strike that flew into the net to complete the comeback and hand the hosts a 2-1 win. The standouts in the second half, Jaden Kucharski, the match winner, a game changer. The Perth midfield drive increasingly aggressive after the equaliser, and Auckland's defensive bodies risking too much in transition. Midfield for Auckland, they also lost key duels after the hour mark. Perth exploited those moments with pace and physicality. So the final score ended Perth Glory 2, Auckland FC 1. A defeat that saw Auckland slip from the top of the A-League table into third place. So let's go through each player with an evaluation performance. What I forgot to mention as well, we got an injury to Ollie Sale. So unfortunate. He waited so long to get into the starting lineup, and when taking a goal kick, he slipped awkwardly and picked up an injury, which has been said will need surgery. So from that point on, it was shortly before the Perth Glory goal. Michael Vow came back on the field. Right, let's take a look at those players. Michael Vow came on for the injured Ollie Sale. The game changed big time. can't really put it down to Michael Vow, but just a change in the team. Yeah, tough night. Defenders generally solid and organised, but they were exposed later on. The midfield pivot, they started the control really well, but in the second half, their physicality became undone. Jesse Randall, that first half goal, immense work rate. The other attackers looking sharp early on, but just struggling to maintain and sustain that tempo. Taking a look at the match stats in possession, Auckland, they got 53% to Perth Glory's 47%. Couldn't take advantage of that possession rate. Shots, Perth 14 to Auckland's 13. Very close there. And of those on target, Perth with 4, Auckland with 2. A pass accuracy of 80% for Auckland, 77 for Perth. Corner kicks, 4 to Perth, 2 to Auckland. The stats overall, they look pretty even, really. But on the field, we saw one team outperform the other, especially in the second half. Okay, so the takeaways going into the next match, which is a home match to Sydney FC, our first meeting with them of the season. We should have played them at their place back in December, but that was called off and rearranged for next week. So this will come after the home game to Sydney FC. So a back-to-back matches with Sydney FC. Auckland FC, final thoughts. Well, we showed quality early, but we need our second half to be much better and some adaptation strategies thrown in, especially against motivated opponents. The depth, rotation and midfield balance will be key as the table tightens. For Perth Glory, a great example of tactical patience and making subs at the right times. Kachaski's introduction changed the game, a confidence boost for their future matches. They'll need to maintain their momentum if they're to climb further up the table. So that wraps up Night Fever match review for the game against Perth. Thanks very much for listening and tuning in. And if you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to subscribe, hit like on the video to help push it out to others who have similar YouTube interests as you. Join me next time where I will be looking forward to the match against Sydney FC at home, Saturday the 7th of February, 5 p.m. kickoff, Go Media Stadium. Big clash at the top of the table. One that Newcastle Jets will be keeping a close eye on. So until then, up the port, up the Black Knights. Goodbye for now.